God says through Archangel Michael. Child, breathe. Listen. I am not speaking to the masses right now. I am speaking directly to you. Not the crowd. Not the world. You. There is a reason your spirit is restless tonight, there is a reason your eyes are drawn to this moment right now, because heaven has been trying to get your attention again and again, and this time the message is not symbolic, not poetic, not coded, it is literal, it is personal, it is urgent. You have been walking around with a heaviness in your chest that you haven't been able to explain to anyone, not even to yourself, and Archangel Michael has been standing by your side, keeping the enemy's hands off of you, holding your name before the throne, waiting for the exact second when your heart would be open enough to stop scrolling and hear what heaven has been preparing to say to you. I am telling you now, this moment was written before you were born. Listen carefully, because destiny is shifting around you in ways you cannot yet see with your physical eyes. There are conversations happening about you in the invisible realm. There are alignments and protections being formed in the supernatural dimension, strategies being placed to move you out of danger, out of delay, out of confusion, and into the timeline that was originally written for your soul before darkness tried to rewrite it. Archangel Michael has been assigned to you in this hour not to frighten you, but to intercept a certain future that was trying to attach itself to your life. Heaven is stepping in, not later, now, because the time of being neutral, silent, numb, disconnected, that time is over. You are being awakened spiritually because your purpose is being called forth. Child, you are not imagining the recent attacks. The tiredness. The strange sadness. The anxiety that comes out of nowhere. The sudden urge to isolate. The feeling that something is trying to drain you. That is real. You have been under spiritual interference, subtle, invisible, designed to keep you away from prayer, away from clarity, away from the divine instructions that are waiting for you. Every time you delayed your inner voice, every time you ignored the nudge to pray, every time you scrolled past a sign, you drifted a little further from the shield of protection that heaven placed over you, and that is why this message is coming to you tonight, to pull you back in, to remind you that you have not been abandoned, and that the angels have not stepped away from your side. Michael has been breaking apart plots that were set against you, confusion, discouragement, delays, disappointment, and every single time you felt like you came close to a breakthrough but it slipped through your fingers, it wasn't because you weren't chosen, it was because darkness tried to intercept what was already yours. And heaven is tired of watching you blame yourself, doubt yourself, shrink yourself, question yourself. Heaven is restoring your spiritual authority again, the authority that darkness tried to steal from you through fear, through exhaustion, through distraction. You are entering a window, a divine hour, where what you choose will shift the direction of the next chapter of your life. Pay attention, because the signs you have been seeing, the repeated numbers, the dreams, the sudden thoughts that don't feel like your own, they are not coincidences. Those are alignment codes, signals, markers, attempts to redirect you back into the frequency where Archangel Michael can communicate clearly with you. When you see these patterns, heaven is literally telling you, I am here. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. But if you ignore the call, if you silence the message, you close the doorway that was opened for you, and this moment will pass without you stepping into what was meant to be yours. Child, I am telling you plainly now through Archangel Michael, not in riddles, not in symbols, I need you awake. Not half awake. Not almost. Awake in your spirit. Awake in your awareness. Awake in your discernment. Because the enemy has been trying to quietly rewrite the next chapter of your life by placing doubt in your mind, fear in your heart, and confusion in your path. But heaven is saying, enough. Enough delay. Enough hesitation. Enough believing lies about your worth and power. You were not created to just survive. You were anointed to shift things around you without even speaking a word. You are a carrier of light. You are a carrier of alignment. You are being called back into spiritual authority because the time is short, because the shift is happening, because destiny is moving, and because what is coming next requires a version of you that is not asleep anymore, not silent anymore, not apologizing anymore, not doubting anymore, not shrinking anymore, not delaying anymore, not running from your calling anymore. And now, child, listen to me even more carefully, because what I am about to say next is where your spirit must pay attention, because what I am about to say next is where your spirit must pay attention. There is a moment in destiny where heaven stops whispering and begins speaking with unmistakable clarity, and that moment has now arrived for you. You have crossed into a space where neutrality is no longer an option. Silence is no longer harmless. Hesitation is no longer invisible. Every delayed prayer, every ignored sign, every time you pushed away your own intuition, all of those became tiny little agreements with the wrong frequency, and Archangel Michael is telling you now. This is the hour to break those agreements. This is the hour to step back into alignment. This is the hour to step out of spiritual exhaustion, because heaven will not allow you to sleepwalk through the chapter that is coming next. You think you have been waiting on God, but heaven has been waiting on you, to say yes again, to trust again, to stop replaying old pain again, to stop believing you are small again. Michael is telling you, the heaviness you've been feeling has not been depression, it has been spiritual interference, it has been resistance against your awakening, because darkness knows that once you awaken fully, you become untouchable, unstoppable, undeniable. You cannot see the chains that were being built around your confidence, around your voice, around your ability to believe in yourself, but heaven could, and heaven is breaking them as you listen to this message right now. Child, I need you to understand something important. Every time you have felt like giving up lately, every time you felt like disappearing, every time you felt like staying silent because nobody would understand, those moments were not weakness, they were warfare. And Michael has been standing between you and the very thing that tried to destroy your spirit this year. You were never as unprotected as you thought. You were never as alone as you felt. The enemy tried to convince you that no one saw you. But Archangel Michael was right next to you, blocking what would have damaged you beyond repair. Heaven is not late. Heaven is not struggling. Heaven is already 10 steps ahead of the plans that were designed against you. And now you are being called to step into agreement with what heaven already knows, that you are chosen, that you are protected, that you are being shifted into a divine turning point where the next sequence of events will not look like the last season of your life. And now listen deeper, because the next thing I am about to say is not to scare you but to awaken you. There is a chain of decisions coming toward you, one after another. And these choices are not small. They are not random. They are not simply everyday moments. Each one will contain a pull, either toward your purpose or away from it. And heaven needs you to stop choosing based on fear. Stop choosing based on your old wounds. Stop choosing based on the version of yourself that trauma created. Archangel Michael is saying, choose based on your calling, choose based on who you are becoming, not who you were when pain shaped your identity. There is power waiting to be released when you shift from reacting to old memories, to responding with divine identity. In this next chapter, your discernment is your shield, your consistency is your weapon, your obedience is your gatekeeper, and your alignment is your currency. And the moment you decide to stand fully in who heaven says you are, everything you thought you lost will begin to return to you in ways that will not make logical sense to your human mind. Child, heaven does not want you to merely survive anymore. You are being prepared to step into a season where you influence atmospheres just by walking into them. But first, there is one more truth you need to hear, and it may feel heavy, but it is necessary for your awakening. But first, there is one more truth you need to hear, and it may feel heavy, but it is necessary for your awakening. You have been walking with a version of yourself that trauma built, not the version that heaven designed. And every time you shrink your voice, every time you doubt your intuition, every time you silence your spirit because you are afraid of being wrong or judged or misunderstood, you are agreeing with a version of yourself that heaven never wrote. Archangel Michael is saying this directly to you: the identity you have been carrying is not the identity heaven assigned to you. You became who pain forced you to become in order to survive. And heaven allowed you to walk through that season, not because you were abandoned, but because your resilience was being forged in fire, and now it is time to return to who you truly are. You have been functioning from survival instincts for too long, and heaven is now shifting you into destiny instincts, where your choices are based not on fear, but on divine knowing. The enemy wants you to believe that your weakness defines you. But heaven knows that your weakness is the very doorway through which divine strength flows into your life. Child, listen, this is not the hour to second-guess yourself anymore. This is not the hour to wait for permission from people who cannot see the battles you're fighting in the unseen realm. You keep craving validation from those who were not called to recognize your calling, and that craving has delayed you again and again and again. Heaven is releasing you from the need to be approved by the minds of others. Heaven is releasing you from the need to explain yourself. Heaven is releasing you from the internal prison of caring about how your calling looks from the outside. Michael wants you to know, your anointing will not make sense to those who were never meant to walk beside you in this chapter. Stop letting their confusion become your self-doubt. Stop letting their opinions become your limitations. Stop letting their silence become your discouragement. You do not need crowds to confirm what heaven has already sealed over your life. Now listen deeper, because this is a moment of alignment. You are entering a divine shift where everything small inside you must be surrendered. Self-doubt must be surrendered. Fear must be surrendered. The old story in your mind must be surrendered. Your old timeline must be surrendered. The idea that you are unworthy must be surrendered. You have been praying for breakthrough, but heaven is saying, you are the breakthrough. The next level of your life is not something that falls on top of you, it is something that awakens from within you. It is not coming from outside. It is rising from the inside. You have been waiting for the atmosphere around you to change, but heaven has been waiting for you to step into your power so that the atmosphere changes because of you. The shift is not coming to you, the shift is coming through you. Child, I want you to feel the weight of this. Angels have been aligning your path behind the scenes. There were things that should have destroyed you emotionally, mentally, spiritually this year, but they didn't because heaven blocked them. There were conversations happening about you that you never heard, but heaven intercepted them. There were plans forming against your life that would have broken you, but Michael stood between you and the intention of darkness. There is a reason you are still standing. There is a reason you didn't collapse under the pressure. There is a reason your soul refused to die even when your hope felt buried. You are not fragile. You are not accidental. You are not random. You are strategically positioned by heaven for a destiny that is bigger than you can yet comprehend, because what I am about to say next requires your spirit to stay open. There is a separation happening in your life, and it is not random. People drifting away is not rejection, it is divine filtering. Heaven is removing those who cannot handle who you are becoming. Archangel Michael is saying this clearly. Not everyone can go with you into the season you are stepping into. Some people were only assigned to the old version of you, and now that you are shifting into alignment with your calling, their presence would only slow you down, drain you, confuse you, and delay you. You have been trying to keep certain connections alive out of loyalty, out of history, out of sentimental attachment, but heaven is cutting cords you don't have the strength to cut yourself. You may feel lonely in this transition, but that loneliness is not emptiness, it is preparation. Heaven is clearing the noise around you so you can finally hear the voice within you. The silence around you is not abandonment, it is a divine reset. Child, this is why you have felt misunderstood lately. Your spirit is expanding, but their perception of you is shrinking. They only see who you were, heaven sees who you truly are. You are being called upward, elevated, repositioned. You cannot carry everyone and everything from your past into the chapter heaven is opening. There are doors you prayed for that are about to open, but some of those doors require you to walk through them alone. This is not punishment, this is strategy. Heaven removes what cannot accompany your promise. Heaven subtracts before it multiplies. Heaven isolates before it elevates. And the lack you feel is not lack, it is space being created for what is coming. Listen again. Because this is where Michael needs your attention in this exact moment. There are choices you are about to make that will carry weight. Every yes and every no in this season aligns you either closer to destiny or further from it. You can no longer choose comfort over calling. You can no longer choose fear over faith. You can no longer choose familiarity over spiritual growth. You will feel a pull inside you, you will feel a knowing, that is not imagination. That is divine navigation. Trust it. Honor it. Follow it. Heaven will not scream, heaven will guide quietly, but with precision. It is your sensitivity to those subtle nudges that will open the unseen doors that only angels know how to unlock. Child, Archangel Michael is saying, do not underestimate what is shifting inside you right now. Something is being activated in your spirit even as you listen to these words. Your discernment is sharpening. Your awareness is elevating. Your inner frequency is rising. You may not see the physical evidence yet, but spiritually the shift has already begun. You are being pulled into alignment, into authority, into clarity. And heaven needs you to recognize that this is not imagination, this is a divine inflection point. There is a before this moment, and there will be an after this moment. And now, child, listen even closer, because the next thing I am about to say will reveal why heaven needed you to hear this at this exact time. Because the next thing I am about to say will reveal why heaven needed you to hear this at this exact time. Child, the enemy was preparing a detour for you, a silent, subtle detour, not through dramatic destruction, not through obvious chaos, but through tiny compromises that look harmless on the surface. The plan was not to break you suddenly, the plan was to drain you slowly. To make you tired in your spirit, to make you numb in your emotions, to make you careless with your intuition. To get you to a place where you would stop recognizing the difference between divine alignment and emotional impulse. And if that happened, the enemy would not have needed to destroy you, you would have unknowingly walked away from your own blessing. That is why Archangel Michael is speaking now, because the moment of subtle destruction was getting close, and heaven needed to interrupt that timeline before you walked into it blind. Child, this is why your spirit has been restless. This is why your soul has been uneasy. This is why your sleep has been strange. You thought you were just overthinking, but your spirit was sensing the shift. You were feeling the tug-of-war in the unseen realm. You were picking up the energetic impact of decisions being shaped by forces you couldn't see. You were not imagining it, you were discerning it. And that sensitivity is proof that your intuition is opening again. Heaven is sharpening your inner hearing because destiny requires you to become spiritually aware again. Not logical. Not analytical. Aware. Because what comes next cannot be navigated by human intellect, it can only be navigated through divine alignment. And child, listen even deeper, there is a calling on your life that you have been trying to suppress because you thought you were not ready. You thought you needed to heal more first. You thought you had to have perfect confidence or perfect clarity before stepping into assignment. But heaven is saying, the calling on your life is not waiting for you to feel ready. The calling is what will make you ready. You do not become prepared before you begin, you become prepared as you walk into the assignment heaven gives you. Courage will not appear before the step, courage will appear with the step. You were not chosen because you are perfect, you were chosen because heaven saw what you could not see in yourself. Child, the next season of your life is not about survival, it is about activation. It is about walking in spiritual authority. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that no longer apologizes for being chosen. And heaven is saying, stay awake. Stay aware. Stay aligned. There is a divine appointment approaching you, a moment where everything will click in one flash of inner knowing. And Archangel Michael needs you sensitive enough to recognize when that moment arrives, because that moment is the doorway into the chapter you were born to live. And now, child, listen even more closely, because what I am about to say now is not just information, it is instruction. Because what I am about to say now is not just information, it is instruction. And you need to take this in with calm spirit, because this is the part where your shift stops being emotional and starts becoming intentional. Child, you must understand, alignment is not something that just happens to you, alignment is something you must step into consciously. A destiny can be written for someone, but that destiny does not manifest until that person begins choosing differently than they did before. Heaven can assign protection, but heaven cannot force you to rise. The angels can surround your path, but they cannot walk it for you. You must now decide that your life is worth stepping into fully. You must decide that your voice matters. You must decide that you will not shrink anymore just to stay comfortable. This is where you break the cycle of thinking small. This is where you choose to show up differently.